Assalamu alaikum. In today's lesson, we're going to look at the phrase this is. Now in Arabic, there are two ways of saying this is. One is the masculine form and one is the feminine form. And the way you say each one is هذا and then هذه. هذا is the masculine form and هذه is the feminine form. Now, for example, in English, we don't really have gender specific way of saying this is. But in Arabic, it's very specific. So one way of thinking about it is that, let's just say you heard someone say this is, and you didn't hear the end of the sentence. Now, by just hearing the way they pronounce this is, depending upon which form they use, you will straight away get an indication of the object that they're going to refer to. So for example, if you heard someone say هذا, then you know that the object which follows, or the noun which follows, has to be masculine, because هذا is the masculine way of saying this is. And if you heard someone say هذه and you didn't hear them complete the sentence, straight away again you'll know that the object that they're going to refer to, or they refer to, is a feminine object or noun. Now that's more or less the general case. Now if you're not too familiar with masculine and feminine nouns, then I would suggest that you watch lesson number 2. Now hopefully if you look at lesson number 2, you'll get a better understanding. Now one thing to note about this is in Arabic is that in each case, the ha does not have an alif. Now, alif indicates that you have to stretch something. So, for example, in هذا, there's no alif and the ha. So, you might be tempted to say هذا, which is wrong. You can't say هذا, that's wrong. Even though there's no alif and the ha, there is an alif in pronunciation. Now, the reason why they miss out the alif is because it's a very common term and everyone's familiar with it, so they don't really write an alif and the ha. But when it comes to pronouncing, or when you come to pronouncing the word itself, you have to make sure that you pronounce, or you elongate the ha for at least 1 second. So it's هذا. Also the same case in هذه. You have to stretch the ha. So it's هذه. You can't say هذه. That's wrong again. Now the rule is, whenever you refer to a masculine object, you use هذا, which is the masculine form of this is. And likewise, whenever you're going to refer to an object which is feminine, you have to use the feminine form of this is, which is هذه. Now basically all I'm going to do is go through a long list of nouns which are a mixture of masculine nouns and feminine nouns. And for each phrase I'm going to actually say the form of this is, i.e. relating to whether the object is masculine or feminine. So be patient and go through the list. Hopefully by the end of this lesson it'll become very simple and it's really easy to understand. It might become a bit boring because I'm going to go through a long list, but I guess this is the best way of learning it. So hopefully there should be no one left at the end of this lesson saying that they don't understand when they have to use هذا or هذه. So the first sentence is, this is a mosque. And the way you say mosque in Arabic is masjidun, masjidun. Now most of the objects or nouns I've probably covered in the previous lessons. So the key point here is not the actual vocabulary, but the form of this is, which I'm going to use before saying that particular noun. So in this is a mosque, mosque is masjidun. Masjid is a masculine noun, and the reason why we know this is because when you look at the last letter and masjidun, it's a dal and it's not a ta marbuta. Automatically we know that's a masculine noun. So you can't say هذه masjidun, that's wrong. هذه indicates feminine and masjidun indicates masculine. So that's a clash and it's wrong. So it has to be هذا masculine, this is masjidun, which is a masculine word according to grammar. Now the second sentence is, this is a pencil sharpener. And the word sharpener in Arabic is barrayatun, barrayatun, and it ends in a ta marbuta. So now we have to use the feminine form of this is, which is هذه barrayatun, هذه barrayatun. Now basically all I'm going to do is just go through the long list of words and just be patient and write these down. It should help explain the lesson in better detail. So this is a desk. هذا مكتب, هذا مكتب. This is a stapler. هذه دباسة, هذه دباسة. This is a ruler. هذه مسطرة. هذه مسطرة. This is a bag. هذه حقيبة. هذه حقيبة. This is an exercise book. هذا دفتر. هذا دفتر. This is a box. هذا صندوق. هذا صندوق. كتاب. This is a book. هذا كتاب. هذا كتاب. This is a pen. هذا قلم. This is a house. هذا بيت. This is a chair. هذا كرسي. This is a pair of scissors. هذا مقص. This is a table. هذه طاولة. طاولة is a feminine object, and therefore you can't say هذا طاولة, but you have to say هذه طاولة. So هذه طاولة. This is an eraser or rubber, so that is هذه ممحاة. هذه ممحاة. This is a blackboard. هذه سبورة. هذه سبورة. Now we've got a few more words to go through, and some of these words or some of the vocabulary here might be slightly new. So, for example, if you want to say this is a man, the word رجل is a masculine word, obviously, because man is masculine. You can't really get a feminine man. Well, according to grammar, you can't. So you can't say هذه رجل. So it's هذا رجل. هذا the masculine form, and رجل obviously man. So this is a man. And the next phrase is this is a boy. So it's هذا ولد. هذا ولد. This is a student in the masculine form is طالب. So هذا طالب. هذا طالب. هذا طالب. A merchant is تاجر. So هذا تاجر. هذا تاجر. A doctor in the masculine form, a male doctor, is طبيب. 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 And if you want to say this is a doctor, it's هذا طبيب. هذا طبيب. Bed is سرير. 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 Again, so if you want to say this is a bed, so it's هذا سرير. هذا سرير. This is a key. هذا مفتاح. هذا مفتاح. A cat. هذا قط. هذا قط. هذا قط. A dog. This is a dog. هذا كلب. هذا كلب. And the word shirt is قميص. قميص. قميص is shirt. And if you want to say this is a shirt, it's هذا قميص. هذا قميص. The next word is door. So if you want to say this is a door, so it's هذا باب. هذا باب. Now hopefully by the end of all of this list, you should be more or less confident with the usage of هذا and هذه. Now what I'm going to do now is go through the list again, but in the shorthand format. Now all that means is I'm not going to pronounce the complete set of vowels when it comes to the last word. So I'm going to like put a full stop right at the end. So for example, in this is a mosque, instead of saying هذا مسجد, I'm going to say هذا مسجد. هذا مسجid. And all that happens is that the jim joins onto the dal. So there's a sakun on the dal and the jim joins onto it. So masjid, masjid. If you're very familiar with the Quran, or you've been to madrasa or Islamic school, etc., and they've taught you, hopefully they've taught you that whenever you stop at a word, it loses the vowels at the end and it has a sakun on the last letter. And if you don't know what any of that means, just pay attention to the way I pronounce it. So the jim, the j sound will join into the dal. So instead of هذا مسجد, it will become هذا مسجد. هذا and هذه you won't change, just the pronunciation of the last letter. Now, so, okay, I'm going to go through the entire list again, but in the shorthand format. As I said before, both ways are correct, and the reason why you want to learn it in both the long form, i.e. with the complete set of vowels, and in the shorthand version is because when it comes to writing down the word, you want to know how the word ends, i.e. which vowel ending the word has, and you want to learn it in the shorthand format because that's the way it's spoken. And Yeah, that's more or less why we want to learn it in both ways. Now the second sentence is, this is a pencil sharpener. With the complete set of vowels, it would be هذه براية. هذه براية. But if you stop, then the ta marbuta in sharpener changes into a ha, and this is the rule for any ta marbuta. Now again, if you're familiar with the Quran, then it's a very simple rule. So whenever there's a ta marbuta, a ta which loops, and you happen to stop, or there's a full stop on that word, what happens is that the ta changes into a ha. Not the way you write it, but the pronunciation. So the ta actually remains the same in terms of writing it. Visually it will remain the same, but just the pronunciation, your pronunciation will change from a ta into a ha when you stop. So this is a pencil sharpener. هذه براية. براية. Again, you gotta make sure that you pronounce the ha quite deep or relatively deeply. You don't want to overpronounce it, otherwise it might sound a bit weird. So it's هذا, sorry, not هذا, see I made a mistake. It's هذه براية. هذه feminine, براية feminine. So هذه براية. Now I'm just going to go to the entire list again, but in the shortened format. So this is a desk. هذا مكتب. هذا مكتب. This is a stapler. هذه دباسة. هذه دباسة. هذه دباسة. هذه دباسة. This is a ruler. هذه مسطرة. هذه مسطرة. This is a bag. هذه حقيبة. هذه حقيبة. هذه حقيبة. This is an exercise book. The way you say this is an exercise book is as follows. هذا دفتر. هذا دفتر. هذا دفتر. This is a box. هذا صندوق. هذا صندوق. هذا صندوق. You have to make sure you get that Q sound at the end of it. So هذا صندوق. This is a book. هذا كتاب. هذا كتاب. Again, making sure you get the B sound. So هذا كتاب. This is a pen. هذا قلم. This is a house. هذا بيت. هذا بيت. This is a chair. هذا كرسي. This is a pair of scissors. هذا مقص. هذا مقص. مقص. This is a table. هذه طاولة. هذه طاولة. This is an eraser. هذه ممحاة. هذه ممحاة. This is slightly tricky because the last two letters are very similar. It ends in a ha and then it ends in a ta marbuta, which changes into a ha when you stop at it. So it's a ha and then a ha. So mim ha. So soft H and then a very deep H. So mim ha. Mim ha. So هذه mim ha. This is an eraser, i.e. a rubber. And this is a blackboard. Is هذه سبورة. هذه سبورة. هذه سبورة. And continuing on, this is a man. هذا رجل. هذا رجل. هذا رجل. Similar to the word jewel. So the jim joins into the lam. So the j sound joins into the al sound. So هذا رجل. هذا رجل. هذا رجل. This is a man. To say this is a boy, it's هذا ولد. هذا ولد. This is a student, i.e. a male student. It's طالب. So هذا طالب. هذا طالب. And merchant. This is a merchant. هذا تاجر. هذا تاجر. هذا تاجر. This is a doctor. هذا طبيب. هذا طبيب. هذا طبيب. This is a bed. هذا سرير. هذا سرير. هذا سرير. This is a key. هذا مفتاح. هذا مفتاح. هذا مفتاح. You gotta make sure you get that light H sound at the end of it. So هذا مفتاح. هذا مفتاح. This is a cat. هذا قط. هذا قط. هذا قط. هذا قط. This is a dog. هذا كلب. هذا كلب. هذا كلب. This is a shirt. هذا قميص. هذا قميص. هذا قميص. This is a door. هذا باب. هذا باب. هذا باب. So far in this lesson, we covered the masculine form of this is and the feminine form of this is, and we learned that whenever you refer into a noun which is masculine, you have to use the masculine form of this is, which is هذا, and whenever you refer into a noun or object which is feminine, you have to refer to it with the feminine form of this is. So it's هذه such and such. You can't say هذا and then say a feminine. Sorry, you can't say هذا and then say a feminine noun or object. So you can't say هذا طويل. هذا, sorry, not طويل. I don't think I've covered that. You can't say هذا طاولة. هذا طاولة. You can't say this is a table. Table is feminine. Again, you can't say هذه كتاب. It's a contradiction, feminine and masculine. Now, as you can tell, I've got a slight sore throat by the end of this long list of words and phrases. So hopefully by now you've picked up the rule هذا and هذه, and hopefully I've simplified it. I know I've gone a bit too much into this lesson, and if you have any troubles with هذا and هذه, then I suggest you just watch this video again, because I think it should be more or less self-explanatory. And that's more or less all for today's lesson. So as in summary, هذا for masculine objects and هذه for feminine objects, and you can't mix between the two. And please watch lesson number 2 if you don't know what is a masculine noun or object and what is a feminine noun or object. Thank you for watching today's lesson. Assalamu alaikum.